welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. Please hit that subscribe button if you like what you see, what you hear. Do 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I got to tell you, I'm so very excited to have 5 seconds of summer here. Hello, guys.
Oh yeah, three quarters of the band.
3/4.
Oh,
Yeah, almost.
Almost, yeah.
I'm happy to have the ones that I can't have. I know Aston isn't here today, but guys, seriously, I know everybody's excited. We got a brand new record on the way. Let's do it a little bit later this year. We're ramping up with a couple singles so far, and I'll throw this out to whoever wants it. Do you find, like, I know the original like record deal and everything sort of ended, and this, are you more of an independent artist right now? Is there more control? Is that what I understand?
We absolutely are. Like, by definition, we are. But also just even mentally, I feel like we're in a place. Sorry, that was a loud car. Even just mentally, I feel like we're in a place where we feel more kind of reliant on ourselves to make the music and to release it and to promote it and kind of like come up with the ideas for like the video and just everything. We're sort of in a place where like we're really, I definitely think the word independent is wrong because there's 4 of us and we're kind of all collaborating with each other and sort of like, we'll always rely on another person in the band to like, in whatever that aspect is or whatever. So yes and no, I guess, to the answer, but I guess yes and yes in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost surprising because you guys are such a huge entity, to be able to kind of step off like that, to take it all on your own. I mean, that's completely commendable. Like, I guess is what I'm saying, and impressive what you're going on here. So that's it. You get into the record as we got going on. Do you then have these conversations of where, like, is it just like the album becomes what it's going to be, or is the conversation says this is what we want this album to be?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go, dude.
I think.
How about I go?
Yeah, you go. I think this album. It's hard to say exactly and pinpoint like when. There wasn't really like a discussion of like we're going to make the album that sounds like this. Is obviously thoughts and like you send playlists to each other and you sort of talk about the feeling you want to convey. And we've been talking about being a band for 20 years since we were fucking 15 years old. So there's always like an essence of like we're going to keep making decisions that promote longevity in the band. But going into this album musically, we sort of stumbled across something different for us. And I think Complete Mess, the first song we put out, which is why we put it out first, was the first thing we made, just the 4 of us with Michael producing it. And that was a really beautiful moment. And I think dominoed the rest of the songs and the rest of the album. And the way we made that and the way we just we went out to Joshua Tree, just the 4 of us, and it was made in a very youthful sort of, I hate saying fun, but a youthful, fun way. So that sort of directed where the rest of the album, was made and how it was made and what kind of music came out and the story we were telling and the way we're speaking about it now even. So that was sort of like the first domino to fall. I don't know, I'm using a domino metaphor, but it really was like the first thing that started it off. And then after that, so I guess that was like the first sort of taste of what it felt like and what it was going to be like. Yeah.
I hear, as I understand, major chords for this album are quite the brave new world for you all.
Major chords are in, man.
It was so weird because it wasn't like a conscious thing where we were like, oh yeah, so let's go into this process like, making things sound more uplifting or whatever. It's just kind of as we got in there, we would, and we tried to write, like darker songs, and like and there are some on the record for sure, but they just weren't coming as easy as like uplifting, positive, sort of like, and beautiful sounding songs were. So yeah.
I
don't know.
I honestly don't. I don't know when that switched. We just wrote so many. Like the fourth album is just so dark and heavy, because of the way we were feeling at that time and sort of what we're into, I suppose. So after that, it was just like a lot of, I don't know. I remember trying to sit down and like be like, all right, we need to write something like fucking not major and like big and grand and I don't know. And I couldn't even do it. It didn't even make sense. I was like, I hate starting on the 6, which I hate starting on the minor 6. It sounds bad, doesn't feel right. And I think that which is a very nerdy thing to say, I suppose. But I don't know. I just sort of felt that was the way we wanted to take it. And I think going into playing these live shows, I think it just sort of catered to a bigger audience and a more uplifting environment. I think we want to be something to, not that we're ever like a downer or always having a good time on stage, but we want it to be something to look forward to after 2 years. And I think maybe that internally, subconsciously was like brewing as we were coming to do shows. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely more major chords are in.
With you, Luke, and I don't know if you can speak to Aston at this point too, but you both had solo records that did come into this, and as I guess I'm wondering if that had effects on this record, in the sense that especially when you read some interviews, when I read some interviews, when you read like critics or anything, there's always that confronting dark moments of your record, and as you talk about this record being extremely introspective, I think is the phrase that's been tossed around quite a lot. I mean, what effect did the solo records have on this one?
Definitely been tossing around introspective a lot. I've been lobbing that around.
And Domino.
Yeah, and Domino. That's a new one. I think it had it had a lot of different effects, but I think for me it just it was such a weird time I guess we're still technically in it, but like in that hardcore time where we were just at home all the time, I needed to do something. And I think going into, once I'd sort of made something on my own, or even had the beginnings of making something on my own and written some of those songs about some different topics and about I don't know, just exploring a different area, it allowed me to understand myself more and understand my role in the band when we went to go back to making music as a band, and miss making music with the band. And I don't know, I guess I just honestly it really was just like I had to work through some things, and I think much like therapy, I suppose, work through these things and be like, okay, well, now I understand this about myself, and this, now I can go and write with the band and have a better understanding of myself, which sounds very simple, but it made such a difference to me and my headspace.
Yeah. Was with the two of you all doing the solo records, did Calum, Michael, did you all have that itch? Was that something that you all wanted to try, or maybe it's in the future?
I don't know if you want to go, Cal. You unmuted. You unmuted. You go.
Remix. Yeah, I mean, like, creating is a part of all of us, and I mean, creating is part of everyone, to be fair. But it was awesome to be able to witness like Luke and Ash releasing their own solo records. And it was, I never thought about it really. I was writing pretty much constantly, but I never thought about releasing anything. I was more enjoying writing for the sake of writing, if you know what I mean, and having no agenda. It might be in the future, and it might not. I'm not really sure right now. It's like, it's hard to think about other things when you're so kind of immersed into the band. But it is a difficult process. I mean, it was a constant communication when the guys were releasing their own solo album, making sure that no one's stepping on each other's toes when it comes to the band releasing music as well. So it was something that was new for us, but also something to like break down the stigmas around solo record music. That's our goal, is to be able to be as strong of performers and songwriters and musicians for the band. And that was clearly evident when the guys went away and made their solo record stuff that came back, and made the unit even stronger. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's great.
I think as well, like from the beginning of starting this band, we're all such strong individuals, and we all sing and we all have like very specific things that we like and that we want to do and that we want to how we want to represent ourselves like musically and stuff. And I think that where a lot of bands that have those strong individuals go wrong is they don't allow each other the space that they would need. And I just think that I have this like vision of us playing forever, and even though we've released our own projects and done other side projects, and if we've done any music that we've all made individually, I just have this like image in my head of us being able to like perform it all together, and like we're always going to be on each other's team, and we're always going to look out for each other, because we've had so much, we're so just I don't want to say stuck because it sounds wrong, but we are maybe glued is the right together, bonded, I'm not sure, but it's still stuck feels right.
I like stuck. I like
yeah.
like dominoes.
Yeah, so we're stuck. We're dominoes that are stuck together, and like I don't know, like no matter what happens, I think we're always gonna give each other the room that we need to create. And I think for seeing us all make music individually, and I mean, I know that when I listen to like, when Ash's album came out and I listened to it, I was like, fuck, it's so crazy for me to like listen to his stories and the way that he's telling them in a way that's, so different. Just as like when Luke's came out and like I got to listen to like his perspective on like what his things were, and like I'd be lying if I said I was like, fuck, now I can't wait to tell my story as well one day as well. And like I mean, Calum said, who knows if that or when that will even happen. But just giving each other that space and allowing each other to kind of like, I don't know, just create freely, because we all want the same thing and we all want the best for each other as well. Like we all want each other to be successful, not only just successfully commercially, but like successful as a person. Like we want each other to be able to like thrive. So sorry for the long-winded jump in, but
it's an answer to a question. That's what I was hoping for, an answer to a question.
Yeah, there we go. I just feel like Cal already answered it, and then I answered something else that I created.
Yeah, dude, you give it your perspective.
So few bands even have this much talent inside it. I mean, I don't know why in my head I'm thinking like, yeah, there was that time that Kiss did that. They all did 4 solo records and released them all at the same time, and that was the new Kiss album, was 4 solo records. Like you could.
I actually didn't know that.
I know that.
I'm gonna look that up. Do you know what the album's called?
Not off the top of my head. They're all 4 different albums, but it's Ace Frehley did one, Gene Simmons did one, etc. It's everybody did one. You could be the next Kiss in that regard, because I don't know anybody that's done that since, by the way.
I like that headline though. 5 Sauce, the next Kiss.
The next Kiss.
Question mark.
Coming to a summer near you. That's true. This album also has the kind of interesting placement in time that coming off the 10th anniversary that happened last year. You guys put out that song 2011, and kind of reaching back, finding that nostalgia and put it in your present. Does that find itself any more in this album? Or is this the clean? I mean, that in one sense, I guess that could be the end of chapter 1, and this just starts something completely different.
I think obviously 2011 is maybe, well, I didn't write it. These boys wrote it, so I don't know why I'm talking, but I was going to get into the album. But is a more directly related to the 10-year anniversary, because we released it then. But I think the new album definitely touches on those topics as well. And I think it's just trying to understand, and I think it's trying to, there's a couple of songs that are more direct, and there's a couple that are a bit more conversational lyrically. And I think for instance, the 4th album was quite, as we're talking about, was quite dark, and like sort of the way I've been trying to picture it in my head is like some of the 3rd and 4th stuff, and even the 2nd album was like very like stuck in one place and unsure how to figure things out, and it feels like this is going to be this way forever. And I think the new album sort of has a bit more acceptance and a bit more self-worth and self-love, which sounds a bit cheesy, but it just sort of, as you get older, you sort of look back on things with a bit more maturity, hopefully, and a bit wiser. So it definitely touches on topics like nostalgia and trying to be more present and all of that, but it does it just does it in different ways,
Yeah, and sometimes the nostalgia isn't so obvious, and it's a lot of the nostalgia that I think we had going into making this album was just kind of the way that we were making it. And we had the 10-year anniversary sort of looming in the distance as we were making this, and we were sort of like in this reflective kind of place. And I think that a lot of the like nostalgia that we sort of funneled into the music was not really based around like music sounds. Like it wasn't based around like, oh, this guitar riff reminds me of 10 years ago or whatever. It was more just like the energy and the spirit that we kind of put into it, and kind of the sort of overall like thesis that we had going into it was kind of like nostalgic for us. Because I feel like we were like, well, the obvious thing to do is to like play shit that would remind you of something that we would have released in the past, but that felt a little too obvious for us. We were like, okay, how can we get this in a way that feels like tasteful without wanting to just completely redo something? So yeah.
Is I know there's at least one of the tracks I think that's got you guys collaborating with Feldman again. Like, is that one of those moments though where you take that chance to kind of go, okay, here's that time, that era?
It's funny, like that, the one we did, because it's Caramel, right? That's the only one.
And best friends.
Oh, and Best Friends. I think I don't know. It's like it's funny because when we work with Feldman now, we've had there's been so much time in between working with him that going in, like, we have different tastes, and we've made a bunch of music since then. We're 5 years older or whatever. We've always remained friends, but we haven't fully written with him a bunch. And I think going back in, we have such a better understanding of what we wanted to do. And it was actually really fun to, I don't know, go back in with him and almost challenge that and not just do the same thing again. So the song, honestly, Caramel is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. I think it doesn't really sound like something we've done with him before, which is probably the most exciting thing about it. Yeah, but it's definitely you slip back into what it was like to make the first and second album on a vibe level for sure. Yeah.
I like that. We're also defining that the song is called Caramel and not Caramel. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Caramel.
It's not caramel.
It's for the country folk around my area. That's what it would be. The,
Caramel.
Caramel.
Yeah, you can call that if you like.
And just quick compliments too. I know I didn't really get into a Complete Mess, that single. I love the dreamy quality of that. I love the tones, the sound of it. You got a beautiful video. I mean, did you all shoot that on location? Are we actually in the desert?
There are no green screens involved.
No green screens.
Nothing.
Yeah, now we're in Burbank, California for that one. No, we actually went out. No, I was covered in sand. I've still got sand coming out of me. Yep.
Shake you like a shoe. That's right on it. I'll quickly wrap up. There's no transition into this from that. What's new with Friends of Friends? Because that's really an important thing that you all do with that side of your career as well. What's the focus right now on that?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, the most important part of what we do. Yeah, for those who don't know, it's our nonprofit organization that we started a few years ago, and right now we're just kind of helping out people in the Ukraine, and because of the devastating war that's still ongoing there at the moment. So if you go to our web store or our Instagram, Friends of Friends, you'll be able to see tons of ways you can help. Whether you're donating or not donating, there's tons of links, very informational there. So yeah, make sure you can help out in whatever way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all for doing that. And guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it. I'm looking forward to the full release later this year. In the meantime, we got the singles, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Good. Thank you, man. And also thank you for doing your research and you asked a lot of awesome questions. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
I listened, I read. It's I'm sorry you don't get that otherwise.
Maybe that's a bigger question.
All right.
Fellas,
Thanks,
take
Kyle.
care. We'll see you around.
Thanks,
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.